Good day and welcome back. So this is the first build installment of the Russian Smirch. Um, this is the second Ming kit that I've done. I mentioned in my unboxing that I hadn't seen one before, and since I unboxed it, I did the GT40. This is my second view of a Ming kit, and I will say I am impressed with the details, not necessarily so much with the um, with the molding, I guess. So there's a lot of seams, right? I there's cleanup, and I guess I shouldn't be too fussy about it, but um, there's a lot of seam lines, and there's a lot of sink marks, and also like sink extra. So like where the ejector pin mark would come, plastic had actually gotten in where that ejector pin goes, and so there's like these big long tubes and or tabs, and you'll see them at one point in here. But other than that, right, there's a lot of fiddly work. There's a lot of be very careful on what you do, but overall the parts look fantastic, and I feel like the end result, if this first bit is an is an indicator of what to expect, I'm actually pretty happy with it. It doesn't fall together, so there's some crafting involved, which is, for me, I enjoy this. I enjoy the engineering of it and the way that works. So let's go ahead and we're going to get done. I think we'll get up to step 7 through this one, which will take care of the majority of the undercarriage, or at least a good chunk of it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I will say, even though there are seam lines on all these, I do like the way the frames are laid out. You can find the parts. So the numbering follows a logical order, 1 all the way down to 48. So it's literally going across in increasing numerical order on all of the frames. Now there are like 20 something frames here, but the nice thing is they laid out the parts, then they numbered the frame so that the part numbers, they didn't choose to number the parts like this is 1 2 3 4. It's fit wherever it fit on the frame and then numbered it that way. So this is actually pretty nice. All right, so off to hunt down some more of these. Like I'm after C48 here, which I've already pulled off. I've already used. All right, one more. I already pulled one off. There we go. See? So there's another C48. Like I said, the seam lines and the ejector pin marks are probably a little bit of a pain. There's only been one so far that I pointed out that really needed to be addressed, and it was the one behind that one. And that was irritating because it was difficult to get into without hacking away at the area around it. But for the most part, these are going in really well, and they're, like I said, it's a well thought out, and I'm liking the way this is working. So slip there. Let's get you back in there where you belong. There we go. Made a little bit of a glue mess. That's all right. It's going to be inside and hidden, to be perfectly honest, but wonder how much of this detail we really need. But so we'll find these things and we'll move on. Well, that was a pain in the backside. I started feeling it. First of all, putting those two pieces here that make up that part, I needed to clamp it. They're really flimsy, and the two locating pins that are in it were more than a little challenging. You can see there's going to be more of them here, right there, like that. So you need to be clamped and put together. And then when you put this together, so you put that hole goes into there, right? So that hole there goes into there. This goes into that there, and then that goes here. The thing is, they're not stiff, right? They just kind of stick. So they're not tight, they're not snug. So holding orientation is difficult. I ended up using the extra thin, and that did a pretty decent job of holding it in place, right? This stuff. So now that it's drying up, that's helping. But that was a bit of a nightmare. Well, not a nightmare. It was just a bit of a challenge. Fiddly is the word. So fiddly really does sum it up. Again, I try to get most of this on camera. Still working on the angles. So essentially what I had to do is I had to start at one end and then work my way back. I got the one end locked in. Then I flipped it and went to the other end and flipped it. Or went to the other end, locked it in, and then just sort of walked down. Then it was a matter of putting all these little parts in. Now, something I have found is you really need to be careful on where those crossbars go, because they will want to sit funny. Just be careful, be patient. You'll get them in. You just have to really look at them when they're drying or as they're drying. And then you go in and put all these extra other parts in, just one at a time. But again, it's some fiddly work. I don't normally use tweezers, but in this case, I needed to. So here we go. We are at the end of step 7, and the majority of the main carriage is done. Like I said, a lot of it's fiddly, and there's some little detail stuff. One of the things you'll notice, there's a crack here, because I realized when I was partway through this that I actually flipped it. There is a locating pin underneath one of these, and so on this piece there's actually pins that locate to that, but there's also a pin on F38 that takes it to F35, and it's here. It's on this side. It doesn't show on this. For right where that arrow is, there's a dot there. There isn't one on this side that I saw. But so when I put this on, it was cantilevered, and I didn't notice it until it was dried. So I had to soften the glue and rip it off. When I did that, I broke that in half. So that's broken. So I will just have to make that crack be something, make it part of the story. There's a lot of cleaning. So there's like little ejector pin marks on these little parts. I really don't feel they're going to show, so I really didn't go through a whole lot of effort to clean all of those. Some of these parts, so there's a couple of points here and here where there were sprue gates. I actually left them because they look like the same bolts on these guys, so I left them on purpose. Not sure if I should have or not, but I did. One other thing, this one here, so D25, right? That little tiny piece right there, that has actually on one end it's rounded, on another end it has an angle, and that angle goes up against the mount here. It just, so dry fit, it actually does make a difference. You wouldn't think of it when you look at this part, but when you look at the drawing, but when you look at the part, that actually does matter. Other than that, it pretty much goes together straightforward. Just be patient, clean up your parts. There's a lot of cleanup, a lot of seam work, like these two pieces, a lot of seam work there to get that nice looking better. All of that's going to be underneath, so I don't really know how much of that you really need to sweat. But it was a good exercise to go ahead and do the cleaning. Now, here's something I'm looking at. So step 8, 9, and 10 are the engine. And then, so you go through all that, you drop the engine in, and then you come back and put the running gear assemblies in. So they go in here. And then you have the other parts, for step 13, 14, 15, all of this finishes the undercarriage. Now, I'm looking at this going, well, I think what I want to do is, I'm not sure if I want to go through putting the engine in, because I'm thinking about painting, right? So I'm thinking about the painting, and this is something I need to do a little research, and this is probably or maybe a waste of time, but So like if you look here, the undercarriage is actually different from the upper assembly. So it's a different color. Same with this one. With this one, it's not. I'm actually kind of looking at this one just because it's kind of a cool color and something different. It's not green. And I might do that just because it is. Now, in that case, that is all the same color. So I could go ahead and just paint it all and leave it all one color, and then basically put it all together, then come back and paint it, rather than have to worry about the painting. But if the engine color versus the frame color bothers you or is something to think about, look at putting the engine together, painting the engine separately from the main frame. Then, because you could probably go back and do 8, 9, and 10 to put the engine together, paint the engine color, do these parts down to line 13, step 13, and then do the frame, or actually go further, I guess, all the way as far as maybe, I guess you'd probably go all the way up to here, right? All the way up to like step 19, and then paint the frame, and then come back and get these pieces, paint those pieces as you put them on. I'm really not sure how I want to attack that, but I'm thinking more and more and more, the more I think about it, the way to attack this is to put all of this together, then come back and paint it the base color. But again, it's going to depend on which of the paint schemes I go with, because if some of these schemes that have your frame a different color, it would be wiser to break that up. Anyway, I'm only mentioning that because it's something to think about. And it's at this moment that you want to do that thinking, right? Because this is where that changes. So we've got the basic frame part done. Time to move on the engine. I will do the engine with the next episode. And I think that's what we're gonna call this episode done, doing all the frame, or at least that part of the frame. And until next time, thank you for watching. Hope this was useful, and happy modeling.